Hi, Lyssa deHart here, and today I want to talk with you about coaching mastery at the MCC level, the 5 qualities you need to be paying attention to. It always blows my mind a little bit that 66.5% of you who regularly watch this channel are not subscribed. So before we dive in, I'd like to ask a little favor. If you're enjoying these videos, if you're finding value in them and you want to support me and this work, I have a easy, simple, and free way for you to do that. And that's hitting that subscribe button. It helps more people discover the channel. It helps people get this information that you are finding valuable. And it helps my work make a difference. And here's my promise to you in return. I'll keep showing up. I will listen to you. I will try and create the content that is most of value to you. I will listen to your feedback, and I will keep bringing you topics, insights, and guests on my podcast that you want to see. This channel is really here to support your learning, my learning, all of our learning and growth. And I appreciate so much you being part of it. And again, subscribing in order to help support me bring you this work. Thank you. And honestly, I hope you're on this journey to MCC so that you can learn, because it's amazing. But let's talk about what really sets an MCC coach apart, because I think it's a little nuanced and people have a lot of trouble parsing out the difference between PCC and MCC, because it's not just about having a good coaching call. I've had several really good coaching calls. They're really good PCC calls, not MCC. So there's a distinction that happens when we hit the MCC level. So it is not about just having good questions again. It's really who you are being in partnership with the thinker or client that you're working with. MCC coaching is not about a checkbox. It is literally about embodying a whole new level of partnering and coaching in a way that you are fully engaged with the thinker that you're working with. And so today we're going to dive into these 5 essential qualities that you need to be playing with in your coaching if you want to reach the MCC level. And I really want to make an important acknowledgement here. The video that I'm making right now is coming from the learning that I'm getting with Fran Fisher, MCC. These 5 essential qualities come out of her wisdom and her work. And I've added my own spins to them, but this is really coming from her, and I'm sharing it with you. But I really want to acknowledge that it is through Fran Fisher that she shaped our collective coaching consciousness, as well as my own understanding of MCC coaching. So thank you, Fran, for your huge heart and for your amazing insights. So if you're ready to coach at the MCC level, where conversations shift into transformations, let's go. So the first thing that we want to be paying attention to in the MCC level is the depth of the conversation that we're having with the client or thinker. I'm going to really use those terms interchangeably, but I mean the thinker that we're working with. So we are not at the MCC level coaching about solving problems. That is at the surface, and that does not demonstrate depth. And it's about really going below the waterline, getting below the iceberg to what is truly important to the thinker, and how do you co-create that with the exploration with them. So some of the key elements that we're really paying attention to at the MCC level for our coaching is listening beyond the words. What is really driving those drivers below the surface that are driving the actions and ultimately the results? We're really using their language. when people use language, when they use metaphors, when there's a shift in energy, a somatic experience that they're having, they know what those things mean. So it is about using their language, not changing their language for them so that you, the coach, can understand it. It is not about interpreting their language. It's about honoring the words and the metaphors and the general way that they're expressing and communicating about what is important to them. And embracing silence. It is, I don't know who it was who said it, but silence is a question. And so by leaving space, it is a tool for deeper thinking. I remember talking to another MCC coach, Charity Gent, and she had said one of the things that she offers her students is to count to like 10 seconds before you need to ask your next question. A couple things happen. If nothing else is there for the thinker, they're not going to say anything. And you have time to then really craft a concise question. So we don't need to be in a hurry to, as soon as they stop talking, we start talking. So really just don't rush these questions, take your time, create spaciousness so that the thinker can think and so that you can formulate more useful, not that your questions are not useful, but more useful questions that really support their insights in developing awareness. Quick interruption. And I just want to say thank you so much for being on my channel, for liking and subscribing to the work that I'm doing. It means a great deal to me, and I'm very appreciative of it. I also want to extend an invitation to my monthly Q&As so that you have an opportunity. If you're a coach, it's my treat. Sign up below or follow the link, and you can come each month and have an opportunity to get a resource development CCE, as well as participate in a really rich conversation about how we show up as coaches and what we would like to be playing with in our own work, basically. So you are invited, and thank you for being here. The second quality that we want to be paying attention to has to do with partnership and the co-creation of this relationship. At the MCC level, you are not the driver of this bus. You are not the driver of this conversation. This is not your work to be done. Your work is to hold the container of the coaching conversation in such a way that the thinker is doing the work. And so often what demonstrates this full partner or this fully co-creating is really having the thinker do a solid agreement, really check in with them. What is showing up for today? What is important about the thing that is showing up today? I heard you just say this. What does that even mean to you? What's important about that? What would be different at the end of this conversation if we really explored this thing that it is that you've brought forward? How would you know we had gotten there? And where would you like to begin? And I think that when we're looking at the PCC markers 3.4, coach partners with the client or thinker to choose what the client believes needs to be explored to get from where they are to where they want to be, which means that we have to ask them where to start and not assume we know where they need to start. So really a great question for you is to put to yourself is, what would change in your coaching if you truly trusted your client completely to lead this dance that you are having with them? Which brings us to our third quality, which is curiosity, and really leaning in to the art of not knowing. For MCC coaches, it is this idea of we're not going to assume. I'm not going to fix you. I'm not going to teach you. I am going to get powerfully curious with you. That is actually my job. And so this is where asking about their words comes in, asking about what just shifted energetically as they said that. I noticed a tone shift and I'm curious what just happened here. I think it's also the place where we're inviting them to, like, how are we doing on moving in that direction that you wanted to go? What else needs to be explored? I'm hearing these different elements show up, different threads we could pull. Which one is most important to you in this moment? And giving choice and giving the lead to them, and asking open-ended questions as much as possible. There are places for a closed-ended question. So for instance, am I understanding correctly this is what's important to you? Yes. If that's what's important to you, what would you like then at the end, right? So that I'm getting maybe clarity around agreement setting, but there's not a lot of space for closed-ended questions after agreement setting. We don't need to ask closed-ended questions. We can really invite more awareness instead of limiting people in any kind of way. And I think there's also this self-management piece that has to happen in our coaching, where we are really throttling back on any kind of urge to give advice or lead people in a particular direction. And honestly, it's really interesting, because we as outsiders, outside of this human being's experience, might see things. We're obviously going to see them from our own bias and our own perspective, but we may see them more clearly because we have no emotional attachment to it, because it's not our life. And they do. So it's a little cloudier, a little foggier, a little harder to see, because they've been wrestling with it for a while. So really, the hook to give advice is real. And the invitation at the MCC level is to unhook yourself from that. So catch yourself the next time you feel like you need to give advice because you know where you think the conversation needs to go, and instead choose to be more curious. The fourth element we want to be paying attention to is learning and awareness. And this is huge, because it is not about our learning and awareness. It is not about us knowing more about the situation. It is about the thinkers learning and their awareness. And it's really, if I were going to sum it up, insights for them over advice from us. So if your clients, it's honestly the truth that your clients' insights are the only thing that matter. Your job is to ask questions, to craft questions that invite that insight to emerge. That is your job. Their job is to do the work of the meaning making and the creating the dots and connecting the dots and doing something with the dots. That is theirs. Yours is to really hold, again, this container for the coaching conversation that invites them to have the potential of those ahas that we all love, instead of our assumptions about what we think needs to happen, what we think is going on, what we think the problem is, what we think they need to understand about themselves so that they can, whatever. And so really, if you notice yourself having the urge to explain something to somebody, pause, rub your tummy, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay, and then invite your own curiosity and make it a question instead. And hopefully a very open-ended question, and hopefully a big enough question that anything can go in there. I'll talk more about this in the next video, where I talk about what not to do. So wait for that video, and we'll talk about all the things that will get you into trouble. The fifth element that we're going to take a look at is this idea of ease and flow within the conversation. It is really that this is not a stilted or formulaic or checkbox kind of conversation. This is a person's ability to truly be present and show up and be curious and let go of knowing, so that they can just have a fun interaction with another human being where they're fully engaged, but not in solving the problem, but in being curious with this other person. So at the MCC level, what you'll start to notice in the coaching conversations, if you listen to them, is that the coaching flows. It sounds like any conversation you might hear at a restaurant if you were listening to the person in the booth behind you. It doesn't sound like somebody going through a checklist. It sounds like somebody having a conversation with another human being. It's present, it's connected, and it's effortless. So deep presence and responsiveness is really important. And that these questions are not questions that are rote, you saw them in a book, you put your list of your top 25 questions that you're going to ask, and those are going to be your great questions. It is that they emerge organically out of the conversation that you are having with the thinker, and that they are coming from your curiosity, but also that they are coming from what was shared with you just now, just here, and in that present moment. So masterful coaching isn't about trying harder. Honestly, it's about leaning into and relaxing into being fully present with your client or your thinker. So I hope these 5 qualities of MCC mastery are useful for you. Again, depth, partnership, curiosity, learning, and awareness, and ease. And I hope that these are helpful to you. And again, thank you so much to Fran Fisher for her thoughtful insights in this regard. And I hope it's useful in helping you. I am very hopeful that if you're applying for your MCC, that you find this useful. And if I can do anything to support you, please reach out. I'd love to work with you. So if you have any questions, what excited you most about this video? Put it in the comments below. What did you learn? Put it in the comments below. What are you going to play with? Put it in the comments below. I try and answer all of them. And in the next video, and if you go to that, we'll talk about what will get you dinged on a MCC evaluation. So stick around, watch another video, and see you in the next video. And we'll look at things to avoid those pitfalls.